Good morning and welcome to our webinar. Thanks for joining us and thanks for the ones who woke up early or stayed awake late to be able to join us today. Let me quickly introduce myself. My name is Máté Marozsán. I'm an architect and I work as a BIM consultant at Graphisoft headquarters. If you're ready, let's get started. So my presentation will be around 45 minutes and hopefully by the end of this session you will have a better understanding about Twinmotion and you will get to know the details on how to visualize your BIM project that you created in ARCHICAD. Feel free to ask questions during the presentation. My colleagues in the background are happy to answer all of your questions and at the end we are going to have a Q&A session as well. We will also share the recording of this webinar with you through the email address that you used for the registration. So, what I'm going to show today, I will quickly go through on the settings dialog of the ARCHICAD-Twinmotion Direct-Link plugin, then synchronize my BIM project to Twinmotion. After that, I will guide you through the user interface of Twinmotion. Then we will start to visualize the project. I will talk about materials, vegetations, objects, and the different export options that Twinmotion can offer. I hope you are interested. If you are ready, let's get started. Now let me start this demo in ARCHICAD first. The house that you see might be familiar from my previous webinar. This is one of Graphisoft's sample project that you can download free of charge. This is a residential house made by Reload Architects. If someone missed the links to this project, in the end of my presentation I will show all the necessary information to download it. In order to use the ARCHICAD Twinmotion connection, you have to download and install the direct link from the Epic Games launcher. As I've already installed it, I have the Twinmotion 2020 palette here in the top. First, let me go through in the main setting of this dialog. Under Merge, we have two options, No Merge and the By Materials. If it is set to No Merge, then in Twinmotion you can apply the materials individually to every surfaces that your project has. As this workflow is quite time consuming, I generally recommend to use the By Materials option, as during the synchronization process, it will merge the ARCHICAD services based on their name. So in Twinmotion, applying a material to a surfaces that have the same surface name in ARCHICAD was never been easier and faster. Under substitution, you will find two checkboxes. If they are turned on, then during the synchronization process, Twinmotion will change the ARCHICAD surfaces to Twinmotion surfaces based on their name. In general, I don't turn these on as I like to change all the materials as I wish in Twinmotion. Under the optimization, you will find some other settings to exclude small objects or to optimize the geometry. From this list, I usually only turn on the UV texture fix option. After we finish with these settings, there is nothing left behind, just to click on the direct link button to start our journey into Twinmotion. The synchronization process lasts only a few seconds. And here we have our BIM project in Twinmotion ready to be visualized. First, as you see, there's a base plane called the starting ground here, and let me just move it a bit lower so it won't cover the house. Okay, let me just quickly go through in the content of the user interface, then let's start the visualization. Here on the left side, you will find the library that contains all the materials, objects, lights that can be placed onto the scene. Under it, we have options starting with the import option. Twinmotion is able to import a few file formats like FBX, SKP, Cinema 4D. So if you need something in your project from the internet, you can do that. The next menu is the context, where you will find some great tools to create vegetation or to place moving characters and cars onto the scene. The next one is a generic settings tab, where the location, weather, lighting settings are found. Under there is the media, where you will find the 4 different formats that you can export from Twinmotion. And the last one is for exporting the media that you created previously. On the right hand side, clicking on the small arrow, you will see the layer menu, where you will see basically all the surfaces that came from ARCHICAD as we use the merge by materials option during the synchronization. As we went through on the main settings, now let's start the preparation of this scene. First, let me just quickly save this project to my desktop. Now we can start. So let's start with the surroundings. As I want to create a river somewhere around the scene, I need to change the landscapes around this house. To do this, Twinmotion offers two different landscapes, this flat one and this rocky grassland one. I will use this last one as this house is intended to be among hills and mountains. This terrain needs to be dragged and dropped to the scene, so it's quite easy to change the whole terrain around any kind of project. Now it's finished. As you see, the terrain coming from ARCHICAD is a bit higher than what I just dragged in, so I need to adjust it. These landscapes in Twinmotion have two options, to sculpt them or to paint them. First, I'm going to sculpt it to accommodate it to the existing ARCHICAD terrain. Then I'm going to create a river bed. So first I'm going to use the sculpt terrain option. As you see, within this we have a few tools that we can use, starting from the raise tool, dig tool, smooth tool, and we have some others as well. All of these tools have their own option, such as the diameter, the intensity, or even the shape can be changed. Now I think I will start with a higher number of diameters, such as 74 meters, and I can start the modification. I think first it's easier to start with bigger modifications, then we can do the minor adjustments later. I can even delete the starting route, as this one is not needed anymore. So now I'm going to create my river bed. To do that, I select the terrain and use the sculpt terrain tool again, and now click on the dig. I think I will change the diameter to something a bit higher and change the intensity as well. Basically what I'm going to do, I'm going to paint a line to this river. And after I'm done with this, as you see, the river bed is still empty. So I need to apply water into it. To do this, Twinmotion offers a quick way called Ocean Tool, which is under the weather and effects here. If this tool is turned on, then water will fill up the scene. You can only limit the visibility with the terrain form. The look and the height needs to be changed in order to achieve the realistic river look, what I want here. So I'm gonna change it. And I have to change the aspect as well. I think this large river will be okay. As you see, I still need to adjust my terrain a bit here. So I'm going to do that. This whole process is quite fast and straightforward. It's very easy to recreate a large scale of terrains in any kind of environment. After I finished with the terrain, I need to start applying materials to the surfaces. Materials play a big role in order to make our scene more realistic, so I will continue with this. As you see, Twinmotion has a wide range of materials organized in different categories, and now I will quickly drag and drop some materials to the scene. starting with the surfaces of the house. All the materials have their own settings, such as base color, level of reflection, scale, and all of them reflects to the weather as well, in a way that in rainy weather they have reflection, or during winter, snow on the top. You just need to drag and drop the materials to the scene. As simple as it is. I think I will use the same to this surface as well. I just need to apply some more. So now let's apply some materials to the terrain as well. I need to find one. It's within the nature. The landscape what I created has the possibility to paint with surfaces on it, but if you want to change the texture of the whole landscape, then just drag and drop the same texture what I used before to this paint terrain option. So just drag and drop here, and as you see, it changed everywhere. As I want some gravel and rock on the side of the river, now I'm gonna use this paint option here. I just select the gravel and I can start painting. After we finish with the textures, now it's time to populate the terrain with trees and bushes. To do that, Twinmotion offers two solutions. I can easily drag and drop some trees to the scene manually, like these ones, or I can use the vegetation paint option under the context menu, this one. So let's start with the grass first. I need to go back to the library and pick a grass like this one, this white grass 01. I just simply drag and drop to here, and then I will start with a smaller brush. So I will change the diameter for like 5 meter. It's recommended to use first a smaller diameter in order to not to cover something around the house. Then later I can change the scale if it's needed. So as you see, it's very easy and fast to just simply paint the object to the surfaces. Let me just look it closer. If I don't like the density, that as these vegetations are created as a separate elements in the layer structure, I can change the density even later. I just click here and I can change the density. I will change it to 100. I still see some gaps here, so maybe I will change the diameter to 2 meters. and then just adjust it a bit. Or maybe a bit more to this side of the building as well. If I want to add some flowers as well to this scene, to make it a bit more naturalistic, then I will change these settings and add the daisies as well. As this painted vegetation is already selected, what I just did, I can easily drag and drop some daisies next to it. Now it's a bit too dense, but I can separately adjust the density of this. Maybe change it to 1% or 2. Oh, I almost forgot. I think you even see it now. These green triangles, don't worry if you see them. They won't be visible in your final scene. Those triangles are only for view performance optimization. So basically just to make the whole scene faster. One tip, if the density of any painted element is changed to 0, then change back to any number, the items will be randomized. So feel free to play with this. Now I need to add some trees and bushes with the same method. I will start with the other side of the river first. I just quickly drag and drop some of these. Let me change the diameter. And I can start painting. All the trees, along with the painted trees, has the age option that helps us to change their size and look. If we want, we can animate it in a video, how the trees around our house are growing. Let me just add some bushes and rocks to make this scene a bit more naturalistic. I will paint those small trees with the same tool as I did before. Now I will change the density. Now pick some rocks. Twinmotion has a wide range of different assets, so I can even place some 3D scanned rocks to the scene. Now as I'm finished with the vegetation, it's very important to add some characters to the scene to bring some life. It is a key point as characters helps us to put the building in scale. Twinmotion has a wide range of different characters, starting from animated, post-humans, animals, and even groups as well. All the characters are 3D scans in order to make the scene as realistic as possible. Now let me just add some. We can add some animals as well. If you want some walking characters, Twinmotion has a tool called Path. So just by drawing a simple line, you can create a path where people will walk. This tool is located under the context menu. It's called the Path. Let me just click on the character path, and we have a pen tool. I can just start drawing a line, and when I finish the line, the people will start moving. I can change their clothing. Now as they are on a sort of beach, let's just pick the beach clothes. I can even change the width of this line or the density. Before I start setting up the best viewpoint, we still need to change the background, as now I see some skyscrapers in the back. So I go to the settings, and under the location we have this option called background, where we can change the terrain background. We have some options. Now I will just pick the countryside. After I finish setting up this screen, now it's time to find the best viewpoint of this house. Let's go to the media dock and click on the image, and then I will have a plus icon. So I find a viewpoint, let's say something like this, and click on the plus. I find another one, and click on the plus as well. If I select one of the images, under more you will see that it has its own settings like location, weather, lighting, and camera that you can set up individually. I go under camera and I will change the focal view to 50mm to have something a bit more cinematic. Then I go back to the image and refresh it. I do the same for the other one as well. Go to more, go to camera and change the focal view to 50mm. Then I move back a bit. Then go back to image, then refresh it. I think now it's time to add some more trees manually to the scene. So some willow, mountain ash, and let's go back to the other image just to check it. Oh, this tree is in our way, so I'm gonna delete it. Maybe add some trees to the background. I think now it will be fine. So I go back to the images, and under the more, I just quickly add some better lighting and adjust the localization and the weather. I change it to around 10, and maybe change the north of it as well. Go to the other image. I almost forgot to show how easy it is to change the weather with the built-in sliders that we can set up individually by every images. So I just go back to the images, and under more, I have the weather option. As you see, we have two sliders here. The first one is for the weather. I want some clouds, so I will leave it like this. And the second one is the season. If I change this slider, you will see that at some point snow appears because all the vegetation and all the surfaces reflects to the weather as well and the seasons as well. After I set up everything, it's time to create a video. I come back to the media panel, then click on video. If I click on the plus icon, Twinmotion will create the first keyframe. I think I will create this somewhere from this viewpoint. I click there. The first keyframe is done. If I move and click on the plus icon, then Twinmotion will create the second keyframe. After the keyframes are done, and if I press the play, it will play the preview. As you see, Twinmotion automatically connected the keyframes. If I want, then I can even animate the change of the daylight by changing the time at the different keyframes. So that's what I'm gonna do. I click on more, and under location, I will change the daytime to something like this. After I set up everything, I can export these images and the video, or I can use this Twinmotion Presenter, which is basically a standalone viewer that can be exported, and running it doesn't require the installation of Twinmotion. With the help of the presenter, you can create basically a virtual visit in your project, then you can share it with your client as an individual package. So I come here, and let's just create the presenter. I can easily drag and drop my images and the video from here. Then under the settings of this presenter package, here under more, I have this option called camera movement. If it's set to free, then it means that if the video in this presenter mode is going, then the client can even walk around the project. But if it's set to locked, then it's basically just a video. Or if it's set to ride, then it's a 360 video, which means that they can only rotate around that specific viewpoint. So there is no way to walk around the building. Now I will leave it on the free. And I just go finally to the export panel. I just need to turn the presenter on. Then if I click on the start export, it will export this presenter to my desktop. As you will see, it will take a couple of seconds to finish. It's quite fast. On a PC, it creates an .exe file. On a macOS, it's a .app file. As it has some extra folders as well, my recommendation is to zip those folders and the .exe or the .app, and that you can send to the client. So, as I've already exported, let me just quickly open it. It has an informations panel where you can see that it supports desktop navigation. It even supports game controllers or touchscreens as well. Now I press OK. Now I can play this presentation. And if I want to, now I can just start moving around because I set the camera movement to free. This presenter package also supports VR headsets directly, so it can give an immersive experience to the client. I think overall it's a great presentation tool that helps to give an overview of the project in a visualized way. If you would like to test this workflow, feel free to download one of Graphisoft's sample projects from the link that you see on the slide. I think this slide is mainly for the ones who didn't see my last presentation. How to get Twinmotion. Thanks to the collaboration of Epic Games and Graphisoft, the latest release of Twinmotion, the Twinmotion 2020, is free for users who has active software service agreement, SSA. All you need is to have a Graphisoft ID and an Epic Games account. So if you are not an SSA, then I think it is a great opportunity for the change because you will have the chance to download Twinmotion free of charge and use it in your project presentation workflow. If you are interested, then you will find all the necessary information on the link below. Okay, so let's start our Q&A session. There were some questions about the hardware requirements of the software, so I think I will start that one. There was also a question what computer I'm using. I'm using a PC with an i7 processor, something from the 7th generation. It's 30 gigabytes of RAM, but the most important part for Twinmotion is the graphics card. So personally, I use a GeForce RTX 2070. In general, I would recommend something maybe just a bit lower, so above everything above 2060 would be fine even for big projects, but I wouldn't go under it. There was also a question why Twinmotion 2020 is that performance intensive. It's because they changed all the vegetation objects, so they contain a lots of polygons, much more than in the previous versions. So now let me just quickly open Twinmotion because I will show some tricks there. And let me open ARCHICAD as well. I have a quite nice small project here. It's easier and faster to show the answers here. So there was a question about how to change the materials on the different surfaces if they use the same name in ARCHICAD. To do that, I come here to the Twinmotion Direct-Link, and under the settings, what I mentioned, there's this no merge option. If it's set to no merge, then all the materials will can be changed separately in Twinmotion. So I click on the direct link, and now it's a new project. I don't want to save. Now I have my nice house here. So I come to the material library, and under just a second, I come here. Here, under these small icon, I have these options. Replace material or apply to object. When it's set to apply to object, then I can separately change the materials on each side of the house, even if they use the same material name coming from ARCHICAD. There was also another question about materials, how to change the scale and the rotation and the offset of the materials. To present that, I come here and apply something like this wood material, maybe to the other side of the building. This is a bit lighter. And after I apply the material, here you see there's a scale option. I can easily change the scale with this slider. Or if I come to more, then under this you will find the rotation and even the stretching and the moving as well. If it's required, even we can even create moving materials as well. In some circumstances, they can be good for advertisements, as an example. There was also another question about the custom materials, how to create new materials in Twinmotion. I'm already on this page, but if you don't see these, then you just need to click on this material picker and pick one of the materials from the project. like that one as an example, and you will see this plus icon here. If you click on this, then you already created a new material. You can even change the name, or under the color, you can change the texture. So you can browse the texture from your computer, and then you already have your new material. Under the settings, you can even change the bump map as well, if that's what you want. There was another question about the sections, how to create sections in Twinmotion. To do that, you need to use this section cube. It's quite easy to find. You just need to look for the section cube in the asset library and drag and drop to the scene. After you drag and drop here, you can change the thickness and you can even change the color. Now it's set to black. I will set to red, and you will see that where it cuts, all the materials will change to red. And you can even move around, or if I come here to this small icon, I can change the scale of this section cube as well. There was another question about the viewpoints, if it's possible to create fixed viewpoints. I already showed that in my presentation, but I'm going to show it again. I need to come here to the media dock, and under the image, I have this create image button. I click here, and I already have a saved view. If I move around and I click there one more time, I will have another one. All of these viewpoints are saved, so if you save the project and reopen it, they will stay. If you want to just modify one of those, you just need to move a bit, then here there's this recapture button, and it will immediately modify it. And there was another question about the presenter mode, what I showed. So, but I think this part is quite important. There was a question how to give the presenter package to a client. As I mentioned, if you export the presenter package, it will create an exe file. I just recreated it. It will create an exe file on a PC, or it will create a .app file on a Mac environment. If you click on the Start Export, after turning this on, it generates that file with some other folders. If you want to send it to a client, you just need to zip those folders with the exe file or the .app file, and you just simply send it to the client via email or upload it to one of the share websites. And after they download it, without even having Twinmotion, they can easily open it up and move around in the building, check all the images, the videos, or walk around. Let me just quickly check the questions one more time. There were some questions about the vegetation objects, if it's available to download or purchase them. Twinmotion supports, if I come to the import, Twinmotion supports the following 5 formats: FBX, SKP, OBJ, or Cinema 4D. So if you find something that you like on the internet that are available in these 5 formats, then you can freely import them. But it's just a side note, they won't move. So as you see, all the vegetation objects, trees are moving and they reflect to the wind. But if you import something from the internet, all of those objects will be just static. Let me just go through on the questions one more time. I think so. Maybe I will answer some more. There were some questions about the VR as well. So if you have Twinmotion installed on your machine and you also have a VR headset that's installed, if you are in this scene, you just need to come here and click on this small eye icon, and under this you will find the VR option. So after you click here, it will immediately open up the VR mode. You just need to put in your headsets. If you send the presenter mode or the presenter package to a client, they can even do the same if they have a VR headset. Let me just check the questions. I think my colleagues and me almost answered all of the questions for now. So thank you for attending this webinar. I hope you enjoyed it and I hope you learned a lot. And thank you one more time and see you next time on one of our next webinars. Bye.